and might not be able to reschedule or get out of it. That is the last the Commission has heard from Mr. Torres. However, last Friday, Mr. Torres' lawyer, that's just the last business day, informed us that Mr. Torres had reserve duty, had key staff out of the country. I don't know in that late moment what that resulted in. And the words by the lawyer was nervous about appearing in front of this commission. Mr. Torres ought to be nervous. This commission was going to ask him under oath why his firm agreed in January to assume private security responsibilities at Forward Operating Base Shield with several hundred guards that had not been properly vetted and approved. A diligent U.S. Army contracting officer representative, or what we refer to as a COR or a COR, correctly prohibited these Torres AES guards from assuming their duties. Rather, the incumbent contractor, who had lost the contract but was, from a performance viewpoint, very well rated, was quickly hired, so there wouldn't be a loss of transition. This was year-end, for $1.5 million to remain on the post for 16 additional days, and hundreds of Torres AES employees were placed in a stand-down status. Nothing for them to do. They weren't approved, even though they wanted to post. This commission was also going to ask Mr. Torres why he personally flew to Iraq to FOB Shield and strongly suggested to the COR, a U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel, that Torres AES be allowed to post the unapproved guards anyway, guards that would protect American troops, and then to catch up the approval process. I personally, I was out there on this trip, asked the Corps if, because I was worried about that, if Mr. Torres, after he flew from the States to FOB Shield, had tried, and the word I used was tried to intimidate the COR into allowing unauthorized personal employees to post to guard duty. The COR told me that intimidated was too strong a word, but that Mr. Torres essentially said continuously for a period of time that this was all about paperwork and wasn't a big deal. I've heard that in some recent responses also, that what's the big deal? Why do we need controls and things like that? The Commission can now report that the same company, good news for Torres AES, was awarded the next 4 lowest priced, technically acceptable, they call them LPTAs, contracts to protect American troops at 4 additional bases. This raises an interesting question. What's technically acceptable for private security contractors? During our trip, we raised that question and the issue of past performance. During a meeting with the Commander, Joint Contracting Command, Iraq and Afghanistan, or again, what's referred to in the world of acronyms as JCCIA. Specifically, we asked, how did Torres AES, arriving and attempting to post several hundred authorized guards, how did that impact the awards of 4 additional security contracts? We were told, and I was there, along with another commissioner and staff, that these were competitive, lowest price, technically acceptable task orders. Torres had the lowest price, and that past performance was not considered in this case by JCCIA during the award of new competitive orders. We were told that, well, there's only this contract, but there's all task orders. It's the way we do business in Iraq and Afghanistan. That is what is competitively bid and awarded. And since we only do past performance on the contract and not the task orders, we didn't consider it. Now, these are just like contracts. They're competitively awarded. You know, it's the wrong answer. After an extended discussion, the commander, JCCIA, acknowledged that past performance should likely have been considered and be considered on competitive task orders, and that she would look into this. In my view, sitting there and listening, this is a major miss on the part of JCCIA. So now, less than 3 business days after Mr. Torres decided he was nervous about testifying, with the testimony being under oath, we have a major issue that needs to be addressed, and our primary witness has hunkered down in the rocks. The issue today becomes, what does it take for government contracting leaders to say that a lowest price, technically acceptable contractor, or any contractor, what does it take to demonstrate that they're not performing adequately and that their past performance dictates that a